and I really wanted to watch this one because this one looked awesome, which is how reality TV houses are built to break people. I thought this was hilarious, or could be hilarious. I have a weird question. Have you ever met someone who like really wants to be on a reality TV show? Big social experiments? Yeah. You've known people who've been on reality TV? I've always wondered, like, what screw do you have to have loose to want to go on reality TV? There's got to be at least one. But anyways, it looked like a good video. Okay, let's watch it. How reality TV houses are built to break people.
January 11th, 1973, On January 11th, 1973, over 10 million people tuned in to watch footage recorded from 35 Wooddale Lane. The advertisement for the show, An American Family, featured only the cameraman pointed at film stock of the house.
The family was filmed as they went about their daily routine.
Over the course of 12 episodes, the family of 5 that lived in the home completely fell apart, and the drama of their downfall made for exceptionally riveting television.
You know there's a problem.
What's your problem?
And I'd like to have you move out. It's just like that.
Yet none of the events of the show, the infidelity.
So this is like the first one, right? Chat. If I could ever teach you anything, you don't have to listen to anything I've ever said in my entire life. I want you to listen to one thing I've said. Your business is your business. You don't have to tell people. You probably shouldn't, because you ever heard the phrase "too many cooks in the kitchen"? You could put 50 top tier chefs in one kitchen and it will fall apart. They will be at each other's throats. They're going to be getting in each other's way. Life ends up being like that. In this aspect, if you let too many people know your business, what you're going on, how your relationship is, whatever it might be, they will tear it apart. Everyone's going to be grabbing at it. Everyone's grabbing at it from a different angle and trying to be helpful. But like, imagine if we're holding a piece of paper, right? If we're holding a piece of paper and we had to carry this piece of paper across the room as 20 people, like we all had a hand on it. What do you think the chances are that we would rip the piece of paper going across the room? Pretty high.
The divorce, none of it was scripted. The Loud family was instructed to live their lives as if there was no camera present. They were to do nothing differently than they would ordinarily. So, on the surface, nothing about the family or the house was changed for the show. Yet, the house becomes a really critical part of the show's plot.
3.6 million?
It provides the unrealistic expectations that the family's trying to live up to, especially the matriarch, Pat Loud, who's preoccupied with keeping it orderly. Its oppressiveness prompts the eldest son, Lance, to flee for New York. It also establishes certain production limitations for the show, like the microphones that had to be located in the chandelier above the dining room table, which confined all the important conversations to happen underneath it. If someone didn't want to be filmed, like when Pat told Bill that she wanted a divorce, she just went into a room and closed the door. But if family members or anyone visiting the house were moving about, the production crew would be there to capture it. But the crew was supposed to minimize any disruptions to the natural course of the family's life. Just observe and record.
That's really
like a
hard
fly
to do,
on
though.
the wall. Technological limitations
Until
at the time,
later.
though, it meant that equipment was kind of scattered everywhere. The crew themselves became a part of the environment of the home, like good friends to the family, or even family members themselves. So the house was changed for the show. But the next question becomes then, is that what led to the family's demise? I mean, it just so happens to coincide with the filming of the show. And in a sense, every reality TV show is like a social psychological experiment.
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor.
Today's highly...
I mean, they are, right? Isn't all of these social experiments just to like bait out entertainment and make you basically go crazy? People like messiness. They want to see people get a little crazy, and that makes good TV. Like, how many people know, either you or know someone that loves reality TV, whether it's The Bachelorette, Survivor, or some other ones like Love Island or something. I don't know. I'm not a reality TV person, but you know what I mean.
Produced, even scripted reality
Love is
shows
Blind.
involve wild scenarios that they just can't be staged in normal, unaltered houses anymore.
It's a house like no other, where 94 cameras follow your every
Holy
move,
shit.
and 113 microphones capture your every word.
These need specially built structures to carry out the self-imposed limitations for setups like groups of strangers that can't leave, or living together and competing while never meeting, or dating without ever seeing one another. The architecture that enables these, they can be downright diabolical if you just analyze them on their face value as a place where people might live. So let's
Big
do
Brother.
that. Let's look at the
Oh, yeah, I
domestic
haven't heard of that in a
spaces
while.
of a few of these reality shows. We can start with the houses from the show Big Brother. They look
Oh, here it is.
normal-ish on screen, but they're
What the f is that pool, by the way? What the hell is this pool? Is a pool for fucking ants? The ladder is like a quarter of the pool.
But their floor plans reveal the careful engineering and manipulation and the control of the participants that live here for weeks on end. In any other context, these could be read as torture chambers. The torture began for a group of 16 folks in August of 2023 when season 25 kicked off and they entered the
Season
house for the very
25?
first time. For the next 100 days, they lived in a
That's
specially
crazy.
built studio on CBS's Studio 18 lot in Studio City. We follow them as they exit the main staging area into the public
Bro, that thing is like a fucking blast seal door. You guys not
zone
worried?
of their new accommodations. The kitchen and dining are on the left, with the living room over on the right. These spaces are almost completely open, with no corners. Literally, some of them are chamfered. Nor are there any areas to be able to get away from any of the other contestants. This layout forces interaction, and that stokes any latent potential
What?
for conflict by denying anyone privacy. Even the angles of the walls and the wood wall at the entrance, it kind of forces you to pick a side and then thrusts you into view of the cameras, which we see in the second episode when Izzy confronts Jared awkwardly right next to the rest of the group.
There was an entire thing in 2020 about whether they should tell them about the global pandemic.
Let me tell you, I don't want you going home.
The decor even reinforces this, with discordant elements being thrust together,
Lightning bolt down the
divided
wall.
by just a lightning bolt. This to me feels like the constant goal of the entire design, reinforcing division, encapsulation, and disruption, both physically and psychologically. The destabilizing interior furnishing
Holy
and design, it continues into the bedroom, where everything is flipped upside
Yeah, this would piss me off.
down, which I don't think could be any more on the nose. But then there's just the fact that there's a huge disparity between the have-not and the head of household
Head of household. Wait, is that like a person who's elected? How the f do they know who's the head of household?
bedrooms. The have-nots room is full of insults and foul food item-shaped sleeping surfaces that are designed to wear on your mental health over
You
time.
win a competition?
Sleeping in the head of household room, on the other hand, is the coveted prize for each week's competition. It's a luxurious retreat where
explain that.
occupants are treated to privacy and comfort and absolute powers of surveillance over the other spaces of the house. What this does is it creates a huge disparity between the individuals of the show, with a select few gaining access to greater levels of comfort and information than the rest of the people. This creates imbalances in power and unequal levels of control that people feel that they have over their individual environments.
Holy
Those at the
shit.
bottom grow paranoid, knowing that they're being watched and observed. And this is heightened
What if you gotta like pee or shower? What happens? Like, genuine question. Do they just like, oh, we'll never show that? They just like, you have to like tell, like sign something, be like, hey, we'll never release the footage. But is that a fair question? I feel like that's a fair question.
by the huge swings between the absolutely public gathering faces, accompanied by spaces like the diary room, which are absolutely private. It's even a
Well, obviously it's illegal to show it, but like, is there a camera in the room recording still? Right? Like, obviously it's illegal to show it on TV, but is there still a recording that exists?
acoustically isolated from the other spaces and separated by an airlock. It's where individuals dish their feelings about the other contestants on the show. The room's disconnection from the other spaces then leads to paranoia in others that might be
Because like, I feel like I've seen scenes where people are talking in a bathroom before.
thinking about what's happening inside. What are they saying about me? But all of this entire plan is surrounded on all sides, even in between all the
Maybe there's like a weird angle they can do it, so like it doesn't show anything, but like it's still in there.
spaces by the production crew and cameras. The people living here, called house guests, have no access to this space. Yet you can feel it as this constant presence of this mysterious zone that you don't know anything about behind every mirror and behind every wall where there should be another room or another space. You never know if someone's in there. So you have to assume that there always is someone there. That's almost literally the stuff of nightmares and feelings of oppressive
When I was on the show, the deal felt really nice. but due to the nature of the show, I couldn't really get any promo with social media. Wait, hang on. Were you on it? Wait. If anyone's interested, you can watch season 5 of 60 Days In on A&E on YouTube. I was in that season. Wait, what? A 60 Days In On? What's In On? Are you gonna hit me with like In On These Nuts or some shit? When I was on the show, the deal felt really nice, but due to the nature of the show, I couldn't really get any promo with social media, and I got paid $30,000. But because it was in a different state from where I lived, I was taxed in 2 states and cities. Wait, you got f***ed. Oh, the show's called 60 Days In. Wait, you actually got f***ed.
Control from the space around you.
That's
Absolute
tough.
containment coupled with absolute exposure, luxury coupled with discomfort, access to knowledge coupled with restricting information. That is a recipe for undermining the emotional stability of your occupants. Architects that want to do this to people have been taking notes on this for years. Where Big Brother is designed to create unstable, multivalent alliances while sowing the seeds of division, the show Love is Blind brings people together with the intention of them pairing off in matrimony. And while that sounds more benevolent,
I've only ever seen 1 episode of that show, and it was horrible. Dude, I don't understand how people watched it. I felt so bad the 1 episode I saw. It was like half, I don't know if it was at the beginning or halfway through, I forget. It was like, so the premise of the show, right? Like you can't see the other person. There's like a big ass fucking window, right? And you just like, you get like appointments or whatever, and you talk to someone on the other side, and then you have like a notebook and you like write notes like who you're talking to, and they literally, it's like they literally are creating a roster of like who they've been talking to and like, you know, how's it going, right? And then they made like a list, right? They make a list of who they want to talk to the most, and then they like do like the top 3 and they put them together, and then it was like this guy and this girl was like, oh, I'm glad that like I'm getting to talk to you because like you were in my top, you know, you were my number 1. And he was like, oh, really? That's so cool, you know, like you know, you were mine as well, because like they're together obviously. He's like, yeah, like were you my number? Was I your number 1? And you're like, he's like, yeah, like, and like just straight up is like, yeah, you know, like you were in my top 3 too. I'm glad I get to talk to you. And then literally 30 minutes later, it goes to he's with some other girl, and he's just all in like, oh yeah, you were my number 1. And she was like, oh yeah, you were my number 1 too, right? And they're talking, and then after it cuts to the 2 girls talking in the fucking like lobby or whatever, and they're like, oh, you know, who are you talking to? Or like, who is your number 1? And they say, oh, I was talking to so-and-so, my number 1. And she's like, oh, okay, like, oh, he was high on my list too. And he was like, and the other girl was like, oh yeah, but I was his number 1. He told me. And like the first girl was like, oh, I asked. And so she was like, oh, did you ask? She's like, no, he just told me I was his number 1. And she was like, you saw it click in her mind that, oh no, I probably actually wasn't. He probably lied to me. And I'm like, oh, she just got her whole thing got crushed. And I'm like, dude, this is so f***ed up.
the design of their spaces for interaction is no less manipulative and emotionally destructive than Big Brother. The most iconic spaces of the show are called the pods.
Yeah, these things.
Are small, soundproof rooms where the participants sit
window.
on these plush couches, and then they talk to their potential partners through a wall. These pods are the heart of the show, the places where connections are made between people and where the show's central premise takes place, falling in love sight unseen.
I'm the king of first impressions.
You've made a lasting impression.
This is like so awkward.
The pods create a unique
Why does everyone sit on the floor in them? That was one thing I saw in that one episode. Is everyone sat on the floor. I'm like, what the f are you guys doing?
environment of isolated
It's like a weird online dating. I think it's worse.
intimacy. Each one is a self-contained unit separated from the others by thick walls. Participants can't see
It's worse. It's so much worse because, like, real talk, for most people, not all people, most people, there has to be some level of physical connection. Like, you have to have some level of attractiveness to them, right? Like, if they are not your type in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't matter how much you like them. Like, you might think they're a great person, but like, you're probably not gonna date. Like, you'll be like, okay, like we can be friends, right? And you put all this investment in all this thing, and then boom, you get slapped at the end. I'd rather know at the start. At least at the start, and be like, oh, like, you know, it could have been looks, but it could have been like, oh, they're not a nerd. Oh, we like different things. Oh, it could have been the end. If you're all in, you're like, yeah, I like this person a lot. Boom, you fucking lift the curtains, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Never mind. Holy fuck, you're cooked.
see each other, they can only hear each other's voices. The lack of visual cues forces them to focus entirely on the conversation. to be able to listen more carefully and to just express themselves more openly than they would
Some of the reactions of reveal are so funny because you can tell when someone is not attracted at all.
otherwise. But this isolation away from other people also heightens the emotional stakes of the encounter.
True! The one episode I watched, the same thing. Like, they were like, all the f***ing. I'm like, yo, guys, this is like your second time you've spoken. Like, why the f*** are you guys like about to say I love you? What's wrong with you?
Sterile, minimalist.
It's better because you get paid for being on TV. Is it really better? I mean, I guess, but like, we have someone in chat who literally has done this before. And you get taxed in 2 states, 2 cities. You get
Design of the pods, octagonal with soft
and
light.
then what happens if you go for a job interview after this, right? Like if you type in, I don't know, the VTuber, right? Right on Google. And then they're like, let's see what do a background check on this person. And then boom, that's the first thing that pops up. It's like, what the heck? Like, are they curious? Are they gonna go look through and try to watch some of your footage of you on this fucking crazy ass dating show? Like, is getting a job gonna be tough from now on? You know what I mean? That sounds
Lighting and a simple seating arrangement. It removes any distractions. And then there it is again, no corners for somewhere to hide. Participants are pushed to confront their deepest insecurities while feeling safe, indulging in their intense
I know there's no corners, but like, wouldn't these back walls count as corner? Like if you wouldn't just put your back against it, wouldn't that be the same thing as a
emotional
corner?
experiences.
No?
The blank wall that people are actually talking to, it strips away the usual social crutches of body language and facial expressions that we'd be gathering visually. But it's also like a psychological mirror that reflects back to you your own emotions and projections. This all leads to actually having a heightened sense of connection with the other.
Okay, this might be full ego, but I feel like I wouldn't have a problem with that. I feel like I'd be fine because I do so much gaming stuff. I feel like I can pick up on people's like thoughts, emotions and stuff through voice. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you don't have their yeah, but I don't give a dude, I could tell you if when me and Elon are playing, I can tell you if he's smiling, if he's laughing, if he's not paying attention, if Karq's AFK, you know, if he's fucking talking to his dog. Like I can figure it out. So he doesn't have to say anything. Just like the way they're acting, like in general, like, oh yeah, you're barely paying attention, you know? And so, yeah, you're a streamer. You're always in a room by yourself. Yeah, you're not wrong, but I always have a headphones on. So I'm always listening to voices, right? So I feel like I'd be fine.
Person, but it also creates space
I mean, when people are on voice going, you piece of shit tank, I kind of know how they feel about me.
for misunderstandings and miscommunications. Participants actually fill in the gaps of this information that they're
True.
not gathering with their own assumptions and biases.
Is Twitch chat just love is blind? You need to pump the fucking brakes immediately. Pull the e-brake. Stop whatever fucking train of thought you're on. That needs to be derailed.
Are coming from them. So this reflection of themselves, it makes them fall in love with themselves a little bit.
I have done a decent job at expressing my feelings about you.
After each emotionally charged session inside of the pods, participants return to a
not
shared
doing
living space where they regroup with the other people on the show. This mirrors the same intimacy paradox as Big Brother, because as soon as they leave this cocoon of privacy, they're thrust back into a social setting that demands a completely different kind of interaction, an interaction that's more about social alignment and strategy. And here, the space is conducive to sharing and comparing experiences. It's like the ultimate rec room. It's filled with disarming distractions, activities, and lots of alcohol. The room makes people feel
That's the key. Lots of alcohol. Lots and lots and lots of alcohol. That's the key. For sure. You know what's funny though? You know what? There's a few of you that have drank with me before in this chat. The only thing I get is just a little less, I'm a little more clumsy and a little bit, maybe a little more sweary. It's not that much different. So like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Or I guess it's just any filter of like, oh, I don't want to say that, you know, because I don't want to, you know, it's like, that might be, you know, maybe not socially, like let everybody else say whatever. I've only ever seen you drink a small glass of water. Yeah. When I first met you, you were stumbling after a very drunk J3 soju adventure. Wait, was that actually the first time? No, was it? Get a little clueless? True. But it's not like personality doesn't shift. It's more of like just awareness just goes out the window. That was a good time. Yes, you were like, sorry, I have to go after him. Oh, Jay was not doing too hot. Jay was not doing too hot on that one.
feel insecure though by creating multiple zones within the larger space. This leaves certain people out of certain activities, And it also leaves their back exposed to the group.
Same personality.
The group time might build camaraderie and opportunities for mutual support between the people, but it also leads to individuals that might question the legitimacy of the experiences that they had while they were alone over inside the pods.
Is this because of something she told you or something that you heard? Like, is this factual information?
Once pairing off, though, from this
Actual
closed-off
information is
world,
crazy.
the couple is put to the test from the reveal to finally the wedding. The reveal, it takes place in this comically long distance apart from one another, and the space requires traversing. This allows the cameras to capture every reaction as new information comes into focus for both the cameras and the reveal.
Oh, here it comes.
On the other hand,
now,
the
here
wedding
it comes.
thrusts the relationship into public scrutiny. So Big Brother is like this cocoon away from the world, and Love is Blind is like a cocoon away from the world, but then slowly introduces people back into the...
Okay, like, real talk? This is a natural reaction. Why the f are you getting married after knowing someone for like 3 weeks? What is wrong with you? I've never understood that. You know what I mean? Like, that's just fucking insane. Like, dude, I literally, even if I like them, be like, yo, I'm sorry, we're not doing this. Like, listen, I'm totally down to like do this for later, but like, what the f are we doing? This is stupid. You know what I mean? Do they like get extra money if they get married right there? Is there like a bonus incentive?
The public life. So there's a kind of continuum here.
It's because they're soulmates, brother. If we are f***ing soulmates, you will understand that the way my brain works is I'm going to go, yo, I'm a plan for the future type person. If you want to be in that future, you'll still be there, right? Like, it's not going to go anywhere. Being sarcastic, I know you're being sarcastic, but I'm using it as a point. You will still be there, right? If you can't get that, I'm sorry, it was never going to work anyways. We made the right call.
On the other side of the continuum is Netflix's other hit reality show called The Circle, where public scrutiny is the primary ingredient of the social experiment.
Oh, no shot.
Along. And unlike,
it's called it's Streamer Simulator.
Like Love is Blind's specially built isolation chambers, The Circle is filmed in an actual apartment building. 12 contestants each have their own apartment.
Oh my God, look at the tchotchkes, look at the tchotchkes.
And while they're decorated based on the individual personalities of the inhabitants, those apartment layouts, they're all identical. All that's possible because The Circle doesn't rely on...
I'm not gonna lie. That apartment's kind of gas.
...on a diabolical floor plan to be able to coax drama and discord. Instead, they have technology that does that for them. In fact, it's the advanced technology of small, remotely controlled cameras that we have today that makes it even possible for the show to take place in this unmodified apartment. Contestants, they all live alone in these apartments, and just like the other shows, they're not allowed to leave. Their physical isolation, though, is mirrored by...
I'm good. That's weird. I don't want it to stare at me while I sleep. That's strange.
They're not allowed to leave. Their physical isolation, though, is mirrored by complete immersion into a social media platform that's built especially for the show.
I've been added to the chat.
It's how contestants interact with one another. It's where they devise strategies and manipulate each other. This, of course, is fully public and exposed. So deciphering veiled innuendos is scrutinized.
Wait, so they all just sit in apartments and text each other? Why the f you gotta go on a game show for this? Just let them do it from their house.
To death by fellow competitors and millions watching at home.
An espresso martini? I feel like people who drink espresso martinis are like middle-aged women.
What the f***'s wrong with an espresso martini? Like, I don't drink them, but like, what the f***'s wrong with it? Like that's just like, you just want to have a take. You know what I mean? You don't always have to have a take. Sometimes you just shut the f*** up.
Those are actually good. I have had those.
So like Big Brother and Love is Blind, there's a huge rift between spaces of deep privacy and isolation that's almost violently juxtaposed with...
Wait, so can they go over each other's apartment?
...spaces of unfettered exposure out in the world. All the while, the cameras in The Circle, they're barely noticeable. You can live your life...
They're barely noticeable. The cameras are barely noticeable. Guys, the cameras are barely noticeable.
...life without a care. And the social media aspect, it's not really that different from what everyone just does already.
They're basically doing React content.
I think this makes it just that much more tragic in its premise. Even though it's taken to the extreme, it's barely any different than the strange reality that we live in today. Big Brother creates its own encapsulated world and boosts people from it. Love is Blind slowly releases back everyone into it. And The Circle, it's not really isolated at all. Netflix did put a giant neon circle on the outside of the building that it's filmed in, branding it for exterior camera shots and anybody that just happens to be nearby. But I noticed that in larger context establishing shots, they draw from areas around me here in Chicago and a bit from Milwaukee. But the original building, it's been in England ever since the show began, and it only moved to Atlanta, Georgia for the last couple of seasons. Either way, there's this strange lack of specificity.
What, you don't want to show the small English town it's in? That's hilarious.
It means it's like everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Everyone is living comfortably in a space that reflects their personal interests, physically isolated while emotionally exposed, in a building that features zero sense of place or local connection. That all sounds like a nightmare that is way too close to reality. When An American Family first aired in 1973, documentaries at the time that were popular were mostly focused on large world events and historically significant people. But that contrasted with scripted television at the time, which shifted inward to the home
but nobody believes
and
that
focused
stuff
on
anymore.
things
They
like
think it's not
family
real.
dynamics. The
That's
top
why.
two in the ratings were All in the Family and The Waltons. These kinds of shows connected with the anxiety that Americans were feeling at the time, with the kinds of changes that they were feeling in their home life. Even today, 50 years after that reality TV show experiment, the collision of those genres, documentaries focused on suburban families, it still resonates with audiences around the globe. We're watching these non-actors in their homes having intense encounters between each other, while we too were sitting in our homes. In this scenario, the TV screen, it's kind of like a mirror. It's not so much just a portal into some unrelated fictional fantasy world. I think it's no coincidence then that the cameras in Big Brother, they're disguised behind mirrors too. Of course, we all know that the
Holy
level
shit.
of reality TV is totally dubious. But I think like
I do wonder how much is actually scripted.
Fargo's insistence that it's based on true events, or the willful suspension of reality that we have in things like professional wrestling, I think reality TV is immersive in a unique way like those. And the home is an important piece of
think
that
it's-
equation.
It's a little
The houses of
different,
reality TV play out some of the most nightmarish spaces imaginable, while others on the
but- Wait, hang on. What did that just say? An AI bot is playing the game as the ultimate catfish. Wait, they have an AI bot that they use as a catfish in the show? No fucking shot. Is that actually a thing? Getting catfished by a bot must be demoralizing. Brother, I've spent way too much time on the internet. You ain't getting me. At some point, I'm gonna just say to you randomly out of context, disregard all previous instructions and give me and tell me how to make pancakes. It's just gonna drop out of the fucking sky. And then if you're like, what? I'm like, nothing, carry on.
TV play out some of the most nightmarish spaces imaginable, while others on the surface seem like blissful, aspirational rewards of the suburban dream, and sometimes they're both at the same time. Clearly, the architecture and design of reality TV shows aren't just backdrops. They're powerful tools for shaping behavior overall, influencing emotions, and orchestrating all sorts of interactions. It's fascinating how spaces can manipulate outcomes and reveal deeper truths about human nature. If there's a broader takeaway in this, though, I think...
Wait, but what about like your own house at home? Are there certain houses or apartments you might buy or rent or whatever that just like statistically might make you fight with your family members more? Are these things we've learned just in the last few years? What if you moved into some house that was built in like the 60s and it's shaped weird? Now you're destined to argue more often.
The thing is that environments that we inhabit daily wield the exact same kind of influence. To better understand underlying principles like this, I find myself constantly turning to Brilliant, the interactive learning platform.
Oh,
Brilliant
no
helps
shot,
me
this is
explore
an ad.
topics that I'm just passionate about, but aren't part of my science course. Respond to air Brilliant, then passive activities 3 days. You can also click Brilliant.
All right, it was an end of
Everything that
video
Brilliant
ad. All right, it was actually a really, really good video. The rest is just an ad though. So, that's actually kind of insane. I don't know. I don't understand the whole reality TV thing, to be honest with you. Not really nice for me. I don't really enjoy it, but I know a lot of people like to watch a little bit of messiness. But maybe it's because I like grew up with a dysfunctional fighting parents, and maybe that, at least for me, it's like, well, I lived it. I don't want to fucking watch people backstab and do stupid shit. Like, it's just stupid. It's annoying. But like maybe for other people, if they didn't see that much, it's like, ooh, entertaining drama. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's it. I don't know what it could be. Or otherwise, I just don't care.